Hey guys, how are you doing today? So I want us to look at three pairs. We'll be looking at BTC, we'll be looking at GBPUSD, and then finally we look at BTC. Of course, this is not a live account, this is not a real account. It's a demo account and I've titled it education. So this is just for education purpose. So please just know that whatever I'm sharing here is not intended to serve as any form of financial advice, all right, just for entertainment and also for education. So always do your due diligence. Do not take whatever I'll be sharing here. Do not take it as a form of recommendation or as a form of financial advice. All right, so before us, we have the gold USD. That's the gold USD, ZAL USD, and we are using the daily time frame. So looking at this chart here, we are just going to point out the support and resistance level that are just quite very obvious. Okay, firstly, we have the resistance, which is around here. And then the second one is we have the support, which is somewhere here. So this just gives us a brief overview of what is happening. We have a resistance and we have a support. Look at it, resistance, support, resistance, support, resistance. And then the gold is here to come down to test the support level. So currently it's actually at a do nothing zone. It's at a zone where what to do is actually a problem. So we are just going to, by analysis, we're going to do analysis to figure out the next thing that we're expecting gold to do. Okay, so let me just quickly point out a channel that is quite obvious to me. I can see a channel here. There is a channel. Yeah, this is a channel. Yeah, this is a channel. Please let me change the color so that it doesn't confuse us. Let me change it to white. We have this one here, this support, and then there is a resistance somewhere here. Yeah, so we have a support and the resistance level. We have support and resistance levels here. Okay, so let me make this thing to be more distinct and obvious. All right, so this channel has given us something that's shown us the resistance. This is a resistance. It has equally shown us a support. And something else is quite obvious. There's something else I can see here, and that's a trend line that has been respected all along. I have a trend line here, something of this nature. There is a trend line here. You can see that. Let me change the color so it doesn't confuse you. Let me change it to yellow. All right, so we have a trend line here. Is a trend line. Is a trend line here. And zooming this closely, something is obvious. We can see what happened. Of course, we have our support resistance. Tested it, came back to support, tested support here, tested the resistance, tested support. There was a breakout which couldn't hold. Instead, got rejected and it has hit resistance. So the normal thing we should be expecting is that gold should move from here to the support level, but then it didn't happen. Instead, there was this gap we have here. I think this happened last 2 or 3 weeks. Okay, either 2 or 3 weeks or thereabouts. I can't really remember, but there was a gap we had here. And then all the while, we've seen what has been happening, that gold has actually been pumping. It has been moving. And remember, we are using the daily chart, the daily time frame. So each of these candles represents what has happened, what happens every day. Each candle represents what happens every day. So looking at this, now you can see something that we have this trend line here that has always been respected. Respected it here. Respected it here. Respected it here. Did it here. And before there was this is actually a breakout. You can call this one a breakout. You broke out here, came back, retested it, came down again, retested it. So this is why I said that this is a zone of confusion, a zone of where you do not know what to do. So if I'm to take this gold trade this week, I'll be looking at something, because this is actually a daily chart. So looking at this daily chart, you can see something that gold went as high as 1997.112. It just touched the trend line, nearly touched the trend line, but then look at where it closed. It closed lower, right? It closed low. Look at where it closed. So something is actually quite interesting here. And this is the fact that for me to trade this thing, I would want to see how this daily chart closes, this daily time frame, this daily candle. I need to see how it closes. For me to take any buy, I'll have to see it close above this trend line, this yellow trend line. I need to see gold come and close above it. And if eventually closes it, so I'll be buying. When I buy, I'll be targeting the lower upper region of 2000. looking at 2050, 2048 to 2070. So at this very point, one needs to be careful. One needs to be careful because look at how this 1 hour candle closed. Let me zoom it so that it will be more obvious. See how this 1 hour candle closes. It closed. You can see it here. So it went here, but got rejected. So one needs to be very, very careful. And on this flip side of it, when you look at it from another view, another perspective, we can see something here. We can see a bull flag. This is a bull. We can see a bull flag here. Something of this nature. Let me change the color to white as well. Okay, we can see a bull flag. This is a bull flag. Yes, this is a bull flag. Look at it. This is a flag. This is a bull flag. You can see it. This is the pole. This white line here, this is the pole. Yeah, this is the pole. And then this is the flag itself. This is the pole. This is the flag itself. Of course, bull flag signifies buying. It signifies that once it breaks out, it means that the price is going to continue to go up. But then I've shown up something, which is this very trend line here that gold has retested. I need to see something. If it doesn't close above this very trend line, there's no reason to short. But then if you close above it, if it doesn't close above this trend line, yes, there's no reason to buy, please. I made a mistake there. It has to close above this very trend line before you can buy. But looking at what has happened there, looking at this rejection, it means that there's a possibility or there's a probability that gold might start shooting down. But nothing is certain. Nothing is certain. So we are looking at two things here. We have to take note of the bull flag we saw here. And we have to also take note of the fact that this gold has come to retest this very trend line. So we need to see what happens here. We need to see what happens here. So, and this war, this Israel-Palestine war that has persisted, we need to also know what happens by next week, by the next trading week. Because if the war intensifies, if the war continues, that means all metals, both gold and silver and the rest of other metals, they will continue to shoot up, because that's what I've been able to observe over time, that whenever there is a war, precious metals, most of them majority of them actually go up. So we need to keep our eyes attuned to know how the war is going. And remember what we are looking at. Okay, so to see what happens on this trend line, to how it reacts here, then to guide us on the next action to be taken. So that's for gold. The next step is would I trade GBPUSD. So these are just the pairs I trade. So looking at this one, okay, I think I've already drawn something here. We have this resistance here, and then there's a support. Look at what happened here. At this very point, this thing broke out of this very place, went up, came down. Instead of retesting it, instead it got rejected and it's been going down. So from our intents and measure, there is a possibility or probability that this price will come to retest this very line here. There is a probability. Nothing is guaranteed, of course. So there's actually a 50% chance that this comes to retest here. All right. And then, you can't just trade any USD pair in isolation. You need to consider what the XY is doing. So whatever the XY does will give us a guide on how to trade all USD pair. So that's just the only thing I'm looking at for on GU. That's GBPUSD. These are just the pairs I trade: GBPUSD, gold. And then let's also look at the final thing I want us to consider, which is what? Let's look at BTC. I've had this chart for a very long time now. I think this should be for the past 3 or 4 months. I've always had this chart. So it just guides me. Whenever I look at it, I get an idea of what BTC is doing. Okay, you can see what has been happening here. This was a channel that was formed up until here. This point, gold and BTC was actually moving within this. It was moving within this very channel. Okay, this very chart pattern here. It was moving. That's a descending chart pattern. This is a descending chart pattern until here, where it broke out. Look at it. It broke out at this very point here. It broke out here, went up as high as 31.6 or thereabouts, came down again. So this very zone now, this zone is a zone of retest. Look at where it broke out of. It broke out here, went as high as this point, almost 32K, came down again, retested. This is a zone. This is actually breakout retest, and actually you're having a continuation. So for those who want to short gold, you need to be very, very careful. You need to be very, very careful. Some people are saying they're expecting gold to drop as low as 22K or thereabout. I'm not saying it's not possible, because if there's anything market has taught me over days, it's never to say never, never to say nothing can happen. So you need to be very, very careful to if you want to short, you need to be very careful, because why I'm emphasizing on being careful is this: looking at this very zone, this very channel, this chart pattern is called a megaphone chart pattern. It's actually a sign for bullishness. And look at, since it broke below, look at where it broke down from. Since it broke this very support here, it hasn't come to retest it. So for this breakout to be confirmed, for this breakout now to be confirmed, there has to be a retest. And you can see so far it hasn't come to retest it. See, it's moving towards retesting it. So for it to retest it, will be somewhere around 31 or 31, 39. And so far, BTC hasn't gone as high as that value. So we need to, for this move to complete, there has to be a retest. It has to retest this trend line, this very support trend line where it broke out of. So, and that should be around 31K or 30,900. So one needs to be careful. And when it does that retest, two things are involved. Either it rejects it and start going down, or it retests it and continues going up. So one needs to be very, very, very careful. For those who are saying they want to short gold, you need to be very careful to look at objectively what the chart is telling you. Do what the chart is saying and not what you're expecting the chart to do for you. Do whatever the chart tells you, that's what you should do. Don't trade what you want to see. Trade what the chart is telling you. All right, guys, so these are just a few things I wanted us to look at today. This is Sunday, and by my time check is around 3:29 p.m., roughly 3:30 p.m. And so these are just the things I'll be looking at in the coming week. And also, remember to check if there is news, because if there's any news, one or the other is going to affect the market, either positively or negatively. So keep your eyes on the lookout for any news that might be coming up this week. All right, guys, so if you like this content, kindly like, share, subscribe, follow for more. And please, we have a community of traders trying to build a trading community where people can come, share ideas, share opinion. I'll be leaving the link at the description section of the video. So just click the links, join the group, where we can talk about everything trading. Remember, we focus only on gold, GBPUSD, and BTC. These are just the things we focus on. Every other thing, every other thing is a side talk. All right, guys, I'll talk to you guys soon. My name is SOLUTIONFX. Talk to you guys soon.